The night of the bachelorette party began without any reason for suspicion. Amanda told me it would just be a quiet weekend with her closest friends. She said they rented a cozy Airbnb outside the city to relax and decompress. Wine, music, laughter, and memories before stepping into married life. Nothing about her voice or expression suggested anything hidden or dangerous. She kissed me goodbye at my doorway and smiled like everything was normal. She promised to text when they settled in, and she did early in the evening. The messages were ordinary and warm, filled with inside jokes and nostalgia. I cooked dinner, watched a show, and felt calm, believing love was safe. Around 9, the messages slowed and then stopped altogether. I assumed the drinks were flowing, and the night was getting loud. I brushed my teeth, locked the front door, and walked into my office. I sat down in front of my computer to shut it off for the night. The screen wasn't off like I thought, just dimmed with a screensaver. Her messaging app was still open from earlier, when she borrowed my desk. I wasn't looking for anything, and I told myself that very clearly. I hovered my hand over the mouse, just to close the window. Then, a new video notification blinked in the group chat. A laughing emoji, and a caption about round 2. Curiosity is a quiet and dangerous thing when paired with trust. I opened the video, thinking it would be harmless fun. At first it was just them dancing, shouting lyrics, and posing for selfies. The floor was scattered with wine bottles and snacks like any party night. Then someone walked to the front door in the recording. She pulled it open with exaggerated excitement. A group of men walked in, shirtless, carrying bottles, smiling like they had a purpose. I felt something cold settle behind my ribs, but I didn't react yet. I tried to rationalize, to make excuses, to breathe slowly. Maybe they were hired dancers, or a prank, or something explainable. But the recordings kept coming in a steady stream. The women cheered and clapped, moving closer to the new arrivals. Someone grabbed one of the men by the belt and laughed into the camera. And then I saw Amanda on the couch between 2 of them. Her cheeks were flushed, bright, glowing with a type of thrill I had never seen. She leaned in and kissed one of the men, full and without hesitation. The room erupted in cheers, like they were celebrating her. She turned and kissed the second man with the same wild energy. Someone shouted her name, followed by a "Get it, girl" chant. Then the video showed her taking both men by the hands. They walked down the hallway toward a closed bedroom. The door shut behind them, like the final line of a script. I stared at the screen, without blinking for a long time. My heart didn't race, and I didn't panic. I felt myself go completely still, like my body understood before my mind did. I downloaded every video, every message, every angle of the betrayal. Then I sat back and let the silence fill the room. The group chat exploded minutes after I sent the video of myself calling off the wedding. My phone lit up with calls from Amanda first, shaking the screen with urgency. I let it ring until it stopped, then watched it light up again from her maid of honor. I didn't answer any of them, not even once. The silence I gave was sharper than any reply I could have spoken. Notifications stacked in layers, buzzing like a swarm I refused to acknowledge. I sat there, calm, breathing evenly, letting every sound pass without reaction. Then a video call request appeared, flashing in the center of my screen. I accepted it, only because I wanted to see the performance I knew was coming. The screen opened to Amanda, surrounded by her friends. Her face was streaked with smeared mascara, eyes red and swollen. Her friends hovered behind her like backup singers, waiting for their cue. She started with a shaky breath, like she was preparing for a dramatic confession. "Listen, it didn't mean anything," she said quickly, voice trembling but practiced. It was just a part of the celebration, like tradition before commitment. I stared at her through the screen without speaking. Silence made her desperate, so she filled it with more excuses. It was stupid fun, not cheating. Just energy, just a release before marriage. Her maid of honor stepped forward, and spoke with forced confidence. No one got hurt, it wasn't serious. The guys were random, it was like a joke. Another friend tried to smile, as if to charm the situation into innocence. It's something lots of brides do. It's not emotional. It's not romantic. They looked at me like they were waiting for approval, forgiveness, or surrender. I didn't move, didn't speak, didn't soften my expression. Amanda's tone shifted when she saw I wasn't reacting. She leaned closer to the camera, eyes narrowing slightly. "You didn't see anything more than kissing, right?" she asked too quickly. A friend beside her nodded eagerly, trying to control the narrative. "That's all it was, just kissing. You don't know what happened after." The desperation in those words revealed everything they hoped I hadn't noticed. Another silence passed, longer this time, heavy and undeniable. Amanda's frustration cracked through her forced calm. "You're blowing this out of proportion. You're ruining everything over one night." She said it like the wedding was still negotiable if I just calmed down. Her voice grew louder, sharper, more accusing. "You're being dramatic. You're being childish. You should have talked to me first." I finally spoke, softly, evenly, without emotion. "Is there anything else you want to add?" The room on her side went still. Her expression froze like she'd forgotten how to move her face. No one answered. No one defended her further. No one tried to explain again. I ended the call without another word. My phone vibrated immediately with more messages, more apologies, more anger. I turned the phone face down and let it buzz endlessly on the desk. That night, I didn't argue, didn't negotiate, didn't break down. I simply understood who she really was, and she believed I would never know. The morning after the call, my phone was still vibrating with messages I never opened. I let every notification stack, untouched, while I made coffee in silence. My mind felt steady, almost unnaturally calm, as if clarity had moved into me overnight. I didn't need revenge in loud or messy forms. I only needed truth to settle where it belonged. Amanda believed the worst part was being caught, but she had no idea what was coming. She thought I would argue, shout, beg for an explanation, or collapse in heartbreak. She didn't understand that my silence was not shock, it was strategy. I gathered every file into organized folders, like I was handling a business archive. The videos were labeled by time, the screenshots by conversation name. Everything was clean, factual, undeniable. Then I chose who needed to see it. I didn't send anything to the world, or to social media. I sent the first folder to her father, a man who always treated me with quiet respect. I added no message, no anger, no accusation, only evidence. Hours later, he called me, and the line opened with nothing but breath. He didn't ask me for explanations, because the truth didn't need narration. "I understand," he finally said, voice low and tired. Then the call ended without ceremony. Next, I contacted the Airbnb host with a simple and direct email. I explained that unregistered guests had entered the property in large groups. I included timestamps and a short clip showing the hallway and bedroom door. I didn't need to argue or demand anything. The video did everything for me. The host thanked me and filed a complaint that same day. The account used for the booking was suspended by evening. I knew the consequences would circle back to Amanda, whether I spoke or not. Meanwhile, the group chat went silent except for one person. A girl named Alyssa, who had always looked uncomfortable in the videos. She sent me a voice note, her voice thin and guilty. "I told her not to do it," she said. She called it her free pass night. The guys were invited. I saved that file and didn't respond. Truth reveals itself when people no longer have the strength to hide it. By the afternoon, 2 of Amanda's clients reached out to me. Word had already begun to move through her professional circle. They didn't ask for details. They simply asked whether they should be concerned. I didn't persuade, encourage, or defame. I simply said, "Ask her, and know I can confirm anything she denies." That was enough. Contracts were canceled quietly, invoices withdrawn, schedules cleared. There were no explosions, no public confrontations, no dramatic declarations. Just the slow and controlled collapse of her image, where her career depended most. I never celebrated, and I never gloated. I simply observed the consequences of her choices, unfolding naturally. And through it all, I remained silent. Because sometimes, the loudest response is letting the truth echo by itself. Her work relied on confidence, image, and the idea that she understood love. Planning weddings required trust, patience, and emotional sensitivity. People hired her because they believed she cared about commitment. But commitment was the exact thing she had thrown away without hesitation. The first client to leave her did so quietly, without argument or explanation. A simple email canceling services and withdrawing deposits. Amanda tried to shrug it off, blaming the client for being unstable. But the second cancellation came the very next day. Then a third within the week. Word spreads faster than truth can be controlled, especially in small circles. She tried to create a narrative that I was bitter and spiteful after the breakup. She told people I overreacted and tried to punish her emotionally. But people don't cancel contracts based on rumors alone. They cancel when they feel something is deeply wrong beneath the surface. One bride told me later that she had seen a change in Amanda's tone recent months. A kind of entitlement, a subtle arrogance like the wedding was about her. She said she felt relieved to get out before things went worse. Vendors began to take notice too. A florist refused to return her inquiry and removed her from a shared planning group. A photographer told her she needed to clarify her professional integrity before working together. These were polite industry words, for we know what you did. Amanda tried to post motivational quotes to make herself look unbothered. Soft beige filters, long captions about healing and reflection. She talked about growth, accountability, and rising above negativity. But behind every post was the unmistakable scent of desperation. The comments were quiet, the likes were scarce, the support was thin. Meanwhile, her inbox filled with clients who wanted updates, refunds, or reassurance. She couldn't answer them honestly, because honesty required admission. So she stalled, avoided, redirected, and blamed stress. One bride reached out to me directly after being ignored for a week. She said she didn't want details, only to know if she should look elsewhere. I didn't tell her anything private or personal. I simply told her the date Amanda told her she was busy was the night of the party. The bride canceled that same day. Amanda's calendar, once full, began to look painfully empty. Every cancellation meant lost income, lost reputation, lost stability. She tried to hide the decline by posting old event photos like they were recent. But people who had been there could tell the difference. Her friends who once supported her began to create distance. No one wants to be associated with a sinking reputation, even if they helped cause it. The same girls who cheered her on that night now refused to answer her calls. They were afraid the truth would drag them down too. Amanda tried reaching out to me again, insisting we talk like adults. But conversation was pointless when the truth was already speaking for itself. I didn't have to destroy her life. I only had to stop protecting it. The financial fallout began quietly, the same way cracks spread through glass. The Airbnb host filed a formal claim for damages to furniture and property. The invoice listed a stained rug, a shattered light fixture, and deep cleaning fees. The total came out to just under $3,000. Amanda tried to deny involvement, claiming she wasn't responsible for the booking. But the host submitted screenshots showing her coordinating guest arrivals. Her own messages betrayed her before anyone else needed to. The claim escalated, and her account was permanently banned. Travel, vacations, girls' weekends, all vanished in one email. She was already overwhelmed when the florist contacted her about the wedding order. The flowers had been pre-purchased, based on her finalized selections. Canceling meant she owed a penalty according to the contract she signed. $1,500 due immediately, no extensions. She argued, pleaded, accused them of lacking compassion. The florist responded with the signed agreement and nothing more. Reality doesn't bend just because someone cries hard enough. Meanwhile, gifts from friends and family had already been spent. There was no savings, no preparation, just impulsive spending on self-care. Skin treatments, clothing, subscriptions, luxury spa days, all on borrowed belief. Her father discovered the missing funds and shut down her shared financial access. He didn't yell, didn't lecture, didn't ask her what happened. He simply removed her ability to make further damage. Silence became the atmosphere around her, heavy and unbroken. Everyone had seen enough to stop defending her. Her closest friends were now distant, answering messages with short, polite replies. No one wanted to be the next person exposed by association. She tried to create new work, new branding, new identity. She renamed her business profile and posted pastel-colored affirmations about growth. But she couldn't hide the vacancy in her schedule or the decline in her tone. People could sense when someone was rebranding out of necessity, not evolution. Clients avoided her, vendors ignored her, inquiries dried up. Her panic grew into something frantic and unsteady. She messaged me again, long paragraphs filled with emotional justifications. She claimed she had made a mistake and was being punished too harshly. She said one night shouldn't erase years of effort. But the thing she never acknowledged was the pattern behind that night. The planning, the intention, the excitement, none of it was accidental. Consequences don't appear out of nowhere. They are earned, piece by piece, choice by choice. She tried one last attempt to recover control. She attempted to take the honeymoon trip for herself as a healing retreat. But the booking was under my name, and the refund returned to my account. She learned that fact through the travel agency, not through me. She accused me of being cruel, of taking her happiness from her. But I hadn't taken anything she hadn't already destroyed herself. The money was gone, the career was cracked, the support system was collapsing. She was running out of places to escape to. And for the first time, she was forced to sit still with the truth. She showed up at my place on a Tuesday afternoon, unannounced and uninvited. Her hood was pulled low, like she wanted to hide from the world but not from me. Her eyes were swollen, her posture slumped, her breath uneven. She stood on the other side of my door, as if it still belonged to her life. I didn't open it fully, just enough to let my voice pass through the space. "What do you want?" I asked, steady and calm. She exhaled like she had been holding her breath for weeks. "I lost everything," she said, voice cracking. "My job, my clients, my friends, my money. I just need you." Her words were not about love. They were about survival. I remained silent, letting her hear the truth inside her own desperation. She stepped closer, reaching for my arm like muscle memory still connected us. "Please, Ethan, we can work through this, we can fix it. Let's start over." I didn't move toward her, not even an inch. "There is nothing to fix," I said. Her face twisted, confusion mixing with disbelief. "You can't just throw 4 years away like it means nothing." "You already did," I replied quietly. That sentence landed like a stone hitting water with no splash. Her expression shifted again, this time to anger sharp enough to cut. "You're being heartless," she snapped, voice raised but aimless. "You're enjoying this. You want to see me suffer." I shook my head once, slowly, not in denial but in finality. "I just stopped protecting you," I said. Her breath hitched, her lip trembled. The truth stung deeper than any insult. The calmness in my voice was the thing she couldn't handle. She wanted chaos, shouting, emotional mess she could manipulate. But I had nothing left to give her that she could twist. She stepped forward, pounding her fist against the door frame. "You owe me a chance to make this right," she shouted. "You owe me forgiveness." Her entitlement echoed like desperation, wearing pride as armor. I looked at her, not with hatred but with clarity. "I owe you nothing," I said. Her rage cracked into something raw and wild. She started yelling loud enough for neighbors to hear, screaming about betrayal, about injustice, about cruelty. I didn't argue or try to calm her. I simply picked up my phone and called the police. She heard me give my address and stepped back like the world just shifted under her feet. When the officers arrived, she tried to cry and plead her case. But the body camera footage, the messages, and the trespassing warning told the story instead. They escorted her off the property with a cold simplicity that ended the scene. I watched from behind the closed door, not triumphant, just finished. After that day, I moved to a new apartment across town. The view was clearer, the air quieter, the space mine again. I started seeing someone new slowly, without urgency or escape. She works in it, rarely posts online, and speaks in honest sentences. Being with her feels steady, like ground that doesn't shake. As for Amanda, I heard she moved back into her childhood room. Her circle is gone, her business barely breathing, her reputation a quiet cautionary story. But I never needed to ruin her life. I only needed to stop saving her from the consequences of her own choices. I learned that some endings don't need explosions or dramatic final speeches. Silence can close a chapter more completely than any argument ever could. I didn't need the world to know what happened behind closed doors. The people who mattered already saw enough to understand the truth. Amanda will live with the memory of the night she chose to destroy everything we built. She will remember that I didn't yell, beg, or fight to keep what was gone. I simply stepped back and let consequences take their natural shape. I found peace not in revenge, but in acceptance. Peace in walking away, without dragging the pain behind me. Peace in knowing I didn't lose something real. I just discovered what was false. Life didn't end for me when the wedding was canceled. If anything, it began again with clearer eyes and steadier hands. I learned how strong silence can be. How heavy truth becomes when there is nothing left to hide behind. People say closure requires conversation, apologies, or forgiveness. But sometimes closure is just choosing not to return to the place where you were broken. And never looking back.